Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. And this is a new video that I am posting almost after 2 or 3 months. So you all must be wondering where have I disappeared. But just to give you a status update, I was basically traveling for some time. Then I started preparing for my FRCR 2A exams, and I gave my exam in November in UK, and I'm just back from the UK. So I'm waiting for the results of the exam. Now, when the results of the exam come, I'll be in a position to share with you how I have prepared for the exam. Whether I've passed or whether I've failed, I'll still make a video for whatever that is worth. So that may not help someone, but it is just that I will feel satisfied if I have made a video to document how I studied and maybe where I went wrong. I will analyze and I will share my analysis with you, so that might be helpful to you. So you should check out that video whenever the results come out. So whether I pass or fail, that doesn't matter. It is more of an experimentation, trying to understand where your loopholes are in your knowledge, and you want to get it better and better with each and every attempt. So if it happens the first time, that's good. If it doesn't happen for the first time, that's also good. So coming to the second part is, since I was away for almost 2-3 months, I've been getting a lot of questions and comments on my YouTube channel and even on emails which I could not answer. So my apologies for the same, that I could not answer all your questions, but I will make sure that I answer each one of your queries and questions individually, whether it be on YouTube questions or it be on email. But I thought at least I can begin by giving you a summary of the questions which were asked. So I've just jotted down 5 or 6 questions which I will try to answer here, and maybe that can help you to give an overview as to how some of the questions were being asked in this past couple of months. But I will answer all of those questions individually. So the first question, or the first question which I think has been asked quite a bit of times, is what is the scope of a particular field in Dubai and how to get a job in Dubai. So that's a very broad question. People have asked based upon their specialty. Say somebody is a dentist, somebody is a radiologist, somebody is a gynecologist. So they ask, what is the scope of my field in Dubai and how can I get a job? So what I would say to that is, the scope of any branch of medicine in Dubai or in UAE is excellent and very good. There are certain reasons for that. That is because we have a lot of hospitals, clinics in Dubai and in entire UAE. There are many hospitals and clinics which are coming up in the next few years. As you all are aware, the Expo 2020 is underway in Dubai, and the place where Expo 2020 is being held is called District 2020. You can all Google that up. Now that District 2020, after the Expo finishes in March of 2022, that is next year, is going to be a new financial hub. So you will have many financial places as well as maybe healthcare and hospital sectors also coming up in that area to cater to that whole community which is coming up. So that is going to be a big source of GDP for the Dubai's economy as we go forward from 2022. The Dubai Healthcare City Part 2 project is also underway, and that will also have additional hospitals and clinics coming up. So there is a large scope of hospitals and clinics which each one of us can potentially apply for a job and work in Dubai. So the scope is excellent. Now whether you want to work in a government setup, you want to work in a private setup, whether you want to work part-time, whether you want to work full-time, whether you want to do a continuous shift job, whether you want to do a split shift job. So there are so many opportunities and options available here. It is just a matter of getting your eligibility sorted, getting your exam done, getting the eligibility letter, and then trying to search for the job. Now many people ask me how easy it is to get a job, or how do I apply for a job. So answering the how is very difficult. Once you know that you are absolutely hell-bent upon coming to Dubai, that there is no other option in your life, that you have to work here, you will automatically figure out the how. You will automatically be able to see what are the options in front of you, and you will be able to crack those options and come here. But I can give you some basic outlines, because each one has its own journey, each one has its own experiences through which he will start his or her own application. I did make a video like how can you secure a job in Dubai and It was basically about how to make your CV and how to approach for a job interview and all. So you can check that video out. I can put that in the description as well. But so essentially, once you pass the exam and you get an eligibility letter, that eligibility letter is valid for 1 year. Now in that 1 year, if I was in your place and I am absolutely desperate that I want to come to Dubai, so what I would do is I would first look at because most of the online now, as you know, pre-COVID or post-COVID, maybe it has increased after COVID, is that most of the recruiting and hiring happens online. So you need to have an online presence. I have mentioned the same thing in my video. You can just check that video out as well, but I'll just highlight the basic points here. So one is to make a LinkedIn profile, and LinkedIn has something called as an all-star profile, where you fill in all the sections of LinkedIn and then it sort of gives you an all-star. And if you do that and then you subscribe for their they call it, I think, career alerts or some job alerts or something like that. So once you do that, then say for a radiology, if I say that there is a job alert for radiology or as a radiologist, so I will get a job alert as soon as a new job in radiology is posted. So maybe the first place to look at is LinkedIn and making your profile in LinkedIn. Whether you are a radiographer, whether you are a radiologist, whether you are in a field of gynecology or orthopedics, in any field you should have your LinkedIn. So just try to fill it with as much as qualifications, experience, any other certifications which you might have had, any conferences you might have attended, anything which will catch the attention of the hiring managers that you are the person for that particular job, and you will be at the top of the list when they want to consider for interviews. Other websites which you can think of is Indeed.com. Again, make a profile there, upload your CV, put job alerts, and then sort of keep searching that websites, those websites for jobs. But again, this is you are expecting somebody else to look out for you, and then you want them to contact you. Other ways what you can do proactively is every hospital and a clinic here will have a website. So if you just go through those websites of all the hospitals and clinics in UAE, Dubai, wherever you want to work, there will be a career section page. So just go to that career section page, and then they will ask you to put some details, and they will ask you to upload your CV. So upload your CV, and then sometimes they even give the email of the HR. So you can email the HR, and the more consistently you will follow up with the HR, they might have forgotten about you. They might not remember you when they actually require it. But if you keep following up with them, who knows, they might require somebody and you might be the first person to follow up. I had submitted my CV to you. I'm just double checking if you are having an opening right now. And then they might be you might be the first person to get interviewed for that, because you were the one who followed up, and others have just submitted the CV once and then they never followed up. So that follow up is very important. I mentioned about the contacting the HR, posting the CV. You might have had colleagues or friends who are working here or who have come to work here. You can ask them for any leads for any HR or any hospital person, and then they can give you those details through which you can sort of apply for those jobs and positions. So many people ask me if it is okay that I can come to Dubai on a visit visa and attend some hospitals, or visit some hospitals and meet the hospital people directly. Now that's a very tricky question to answer, because the answer is different for each person. If you can first of all financially afford the cost of coming to Dubai, spending here with all the travel costs and all the COVID related the restrictions, I wouldn't say restrictions, but the testing requirements and all which are there, you can definitely consider that. But if you have an agenda in place as to whom you're going to meet, have you set up any interviews, so based on that you can do. But what I would suggest is you should do this thing first, like set up your online presence, have at least a basic sort of a shortlisting of a job with at least few hospitals, and then maybe come here to get the interview. If you come here personally for an interview versus somebody interviewing from India, that will definitely be a plus point, because they will be able to interview you face on face, and they can evaluate your skills also face to face, and you will be sort of in a much better position. But that being said, there is recruiting happening online as well, so it is not necessary that you have to come for an interview here. I have personally seen many doctors coming here, completely doing the entire process, right from the DHA eligibility letter to the exam to securing a job sitting in their own country. It is not necessary that you come here. Of course, coming here is a personal choice. If you wish to come, that might increase your chances. The other thing is, what are the interview questions which are asked, is some of the commonly asked questions. So for that, I would say is that, you can sort of prepare it in such a way, like, they will ask you how has been your training, or say something about yourself, and then you can just describe as to how was your training, and then where have you studied, what are the skills that you know, what are the challenging situations that you have faced, how you have come out of it, have there been any problems that you could not solve, or what are the troubleshooting skills that you have. So these are the common questions which are asked. The most important thing is basically being very upfront about the skills which you can do and the things which you cannot do. So committing something which you cannot do might make you in a difficult position once you've got the job, because just getting a job for the sake of it and then not living up to what you've said, that can be something difficult for you. So stating upfront that this is what I can do and this is what I cannot do. In fact, stating better that what you cannot do, because I guess that would be a very small percentage in your field, that what you cannot do. Say as a radiologist, there are interventional procedures that you're not doing because you don't have an interventional license. I guess that would be accepted by the hospitals because you're honestly telling them upfront. But if you're doing rest of the thing, like you're doing all modalities like cross sections, you're doing cardiac CT, you're doing breast MR, etc. So that's fine. That will be acceptable to them. Similarly goes for any surgical field. So if you're doing any certain surgeries, you're doing complex surgeries, or if you're not doing them, so it is better to be upfront about that you're either doing them or you're not doing them. Also, I think for surgical specialties, they would require a logbook for you, so that logbook would also sort of give them a direct indication as to which surgeries or operations or procedures that you have been doing and which you are not been able to do. So that goes about the sort of scope and the job kind of thing. The other question which people ask me is if I do any additional qualifications, say if I have a BSc in imaging, like a technologist job who has done a BSc, and he says that he wants to do an MSc and then come here. So will the job opportunities be more, or will the salary be more, and what will be in general the scope? So the broad answer for this is any additional qualification will never go waste. Say somebody who has an MD and who does an FRCR, obviously that FRCR is going to help him. Somebody who has a BSc and he does an MSc in imaging technology, obviously that's going to help him. Again, it is a very individual decision. Some people have the time, the wherewithal and the money to complete their education till their DM or even fellowship, and then start searching for jobs, and then obviously they will be higher placed. There will be somebody who would want to start a job as soon as he's done his MBBS, for whatever reasons that might be, and then as he's studying, he might take a break from job and then do his MD and then do his fellowship. So there is no one size or one answer that is going to fit everyone. But yes, if you have to look at your own condition and your own position right now, whether you really want to study and spend that much time, do you have the resources, do you have the time? If you have that, definitely. Of course, what I would say is that once you come to this country, and then if you want to study again after that, that is going to be a little difficult. It is not impossible, it is going to be a little difficult. Like for example, I can give my example. I have done my DNB and I had done my European diploma in radiology, and now I am attempting my FRCR exam. So I am having a job, I am having a family, and then I am doing my FRCR. So it is not impossible that I am not able to do it, but yes, you have to manage so many things and then do it. So it gets a little difficult. Again, it's not impossible. But if it is a proper course where you need to attend a college and do it full time, then doing a job and doing the degree is not going to be possible. So you'll have to leave the job, then do the degree and then come back. So you have to decide whether you want to finish all the education first and then come here. Then obviously your opportunities will be better, salary will be better, the scope and scale also will be better. So it's an individual decision. Again, the people who have asked me those questions, I will reply to all of you individually and maybe give my understanding as to what you may or may not do. Again, but it is your individual decision. The other question is the DHA exam. The question being asked here is, say if I am doing if my DHA exam specialty is cardiology, then will I be asked questions about medicine also, or will I be asked questions only about cardiology? Or if I am giving an exam for radiology, will it be only radiology related questions, or it will be like the whole MBBS curriculum? Most often this will be an exam which will be tailored to your particular specialty. They are testing you to become a radiologist in UAE. So they will ask you questions pertaining to your field only. It is very unlikely that they will ask you questions outside your specialty, and that too very super specialty questions. There are certain online MCQ question banks which I have not used personally, because during my time there was no online exam. We had to come to Dubai to give the exam, and it was a viva. Now they have converted it into an online exam. So there are some questions bank which you may have a look at it. I have not used them personally, and I don't know any one of them personally, but I have been told by some people that they are good, and you might use it as a practice just to get an understanding of how the exam pattern works. There are no previous papers that I'm aware of that are available for the DHA exam. So again, you can just use these MCQ books as just an understanding as to how to approach this exam. Again, it is more of your roadside knowledge of your particular specialty that you have acquired over a period of years of practice, which is going to be helpful to you in the exam. It is not going to be like you can maybe cram the exam, study for 10 days and then maybe pass the exam. They will test you. Sometimes it will be a two-step question. They will ask you sort of the question, and then they will expect you to know the diagnosis, and they might ask you a question completely different, say about the management or the next imaging modality, say in case of radiology or something. So you need to have a holistic understanding of your subject. The MCQ books might help you, but you need to develop your own understanding of your subject before you pass these exams. So that is about the DHA exam, what I would want to say. The other thing is, people have asked me about the diploma. Like many people have had a diploma in radiology or a diploma in orthopedics, and now they want to come to UAE for a job. Now the thing is, the regulations here have changed, and now diploma is no longer an acceptable qualification. You need to have either an MD, you need to have a DNB, and if you're from India, and even from abroad, like you need to have an MD, fellowships. These are all acceptable. So for this, what has been happening since I think 2016, when the rule has changed, is you need to now either work as a GP here and then continue working as a GP until you get a degree. So you need to work towards getting a degree first. Now if that is not possible for some, then maybe you can work towards getting a fellowship, say a fellowship from the Royal College of UK, you know, like an FRCR or MRCOG or an MRCP or something like that. So that is then, after you get that qualifications, you can then maybe apply and try to get for a license in Dubai. Again, you can check the self-assessment tool of DHA. That will be able to tell you whether those qualifications are acceptable here. You can even write to DHA. They might be able to explain you that whether this qualification will be acceptable or not, and then you can pursue that and then apply as a specialist or as a consultant. You can even start to say somebody who's done an MBBS and who has done a diploma, say in diploma in any other field, he can start working as a GP here, give the exam for the Royal College, and maybe do an MRCP and then upgrade himself to a specialist. So those all options are always available. You have to just go through the DHA website, look at the self-assessment tool, understand where you stand right now, what additional qualifications you would need to get to a specialist position. And again, I have made videos for the self-assessment tool, so you can just have a look at it. The tool is available free online. You can take it for free, and then you can understand whether you are eligible to apply as a specialist, as a consultant, as a GP, or whichever field it might be in. The other thing about the diploma, and especially this concerns, especially if you have a gap in your experience, say somebody who's taken a break for whatever reason, say for 6 months or year or 2 years, and then they want to apply. So there is a particular requirement by the Dubai Health Authority where you need to have some years or months of experience and some CME certificates in your home country. you need to do that. Say for example, if you had say 1 year or 2 years, they have a range like 1 to 2 years of gap or 2 to 3 years of gap. Say if you have 1 or 2 years of gap, then I think it is around 3 or 4 months of experience which you need in your home country, and certain amount of CME points, say 10 or 20 CME points, something like that. The details are there on the DHA website. So you need to complete that requirement before you apply, because if in your while you apply for the DHA eligibility, they will see the gap and then the process might get stuck there. So you need to understand, if you have a gap in your education, a gap in your experience, then you need to fill in that gap by getting a requisite amount of months of experience and some CME points, and then you should start the application process. This is something I wanted to share with you. Other question is people asking whether experience letters from jobs are required for data flow. Obviously they are required, because that is how they are going to check with your HR whether you worked in that place. Some people say that they don't want to disclose to their current employer that they are maybe wanting to change a job or come to Dubai. So how do they mention on that DHA page that they want to get like how do they ask their employer for a letter? So then in that situation you may not ask for an experience letter, you can ask for a service letter. So service letter would say you have started this job from XYZ date till today, and that will be signed by the HR, and you can submit that. And then maybe the data flow, obviously there will be verification, they will call them and ask them that is this person working here. So that should be fine, because experience letter maybe is given at the end of service, but a service letter can be issued at any point of time in the middle of the service as well. So you can take the service letter as well. Same goes for good standing certificate. You need to have a good standing certificate before you start the application process for the DHA exam process, and because that letter will have, I think, a validity of 3 months to 6 months, and you can apply it from your National Medical Council of whichever country you are from. You also need to have a valid professional license of the country in which you are working. If you have taken a gap, then maybe you need to work and then reactivate that license when you start the application process. So that goes for that. The last question, well, some have been asking about the eligibility again, whether I can work as a specialist or whether I can work as a consultant, which qualifications are acceptable here. And the answer is again the same. You have to basically go through the self-assessment tool and then check whether your particular field is your particular qualification is acceptable by the Dubai Health Authority or not. By and large, almost all qualifications are, unless it's a diploma. So once you check that, then there are certain number of years of experience which you need to provide to become a specialist and to become a consultant. There are certain qualifications which will lead you to have a consultant license. Say if you have a CCT from UK or a CCST from the UK, then you directly become a consultant. Sometimes it might even lead that you might be able to you might be exempted from giving the DHA exam as well. Again, those all details are mentioned on the DHA website. I have put the links in my videos as well, so you can have a look at those links and videos too. So these are some of the questions that I have been asked in the past 2 months. There might be more which I might have skipped. So let me answer those questions individually for you in the next few days, and I will be trying to make some more videos maybe that are helpful to all of you, whether they whatever you can take from those videos and whatever you can be beneficial from. So till then, I would wish you all the best, and if there are any particular questions and which are going to be, which you think I might be able to help you in, please feel free to email me those questions or write them on YouTube as you've been doing so far. There are a few things which are in my mind which I want to start in this channel. Maybe if it could be something related to teaching or something like that. I'm not quite so sure what I should be doing. So if you have any ideas for that, like if you are going to be benefited. I was asked questions about radiology physics, some other radiology topics, but I'm not quite so sure how receptively it will be taken by the others, because there are so many materials and resources already available in the market. So but I do want to do something, so I'm pondering whether on the options which I should be doing, which will be sort of on a long-term basis satisfying for me and maybe helpful for others. So if you have any ideas about that, do let me know as well. And again, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.